Hi, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Today I want to talk and we want to test these new arrows I made up. They've got 200 grain brass inserts. So the brass insert goes up to around there. They're new into my shop, so I'm not having a sales pitch. I'm just like, well, this is interesting. Let's make up some arrows and see how they shoot. I've put on 125 grain screw-in points. Now, I've also got the option of 250 grain points here, screw-in. Now, these points are stainless steel. They're more expensive than a standard point. They're $25 for a pack of 12. Okay, they've got these little rubber rings on them to stop them coming loose. They're a pretty good point as opposed to the steel points. Right, so things I want to look at here in this video. Spine. So when you add spine, when you add weight to your point, you're meant to decrease the spine of the arrow. So I've gone from a 120 grain point in my target arrows to a 320 grain point. So 120 to 320. I'm kind of interested in how that affects my spine. And you're going to say, well, it's going to soften your spine. Okay. Right, so it's a week before the state championships, so I'm changing my arrows because that's what you do before the competition. Now, I want to talk a bit about this before we go into this test. So in the state championships 2 years ago, I shot these arrows. So that's a 120 grain. Sorry, this is a 200 grain point, and I stuck clothesline up the center of this shaft, making a very heavy arrow. So clothesline from my clothesline over there. And they came out extremely stiff, like crazy stiff, right? And I shot them, and I shot an okay score, okay? So the following year, I shoot the same arrows without the clothesline in the middle, and they're still too stiff with 200 grain points. This is a 500 spine arrow, and I was thinking, well, I'll go up one, and I'll be okay. Now, I'm shooting about 50 pounds, okay? 50 pounds, 29 inches. Now, the problem I had with these points, when you hit something hard, like the post or rock on the ground, the points will curl over. So the point is a little bit bent. And I didn't really like that much. So anyway, these arrows are actually quite heavy. How heavy? I weighed them all last night, preparing for this video. I think in the vicinity of 550 grains. So quite heavy. Right, so I shot these last year. They shot okay. They're still coming too stiff. Right, so then these ones came in, and I was like, well, these are cheap inserts, and they're pretty cheap points. So these are a 6.2 mil arrow. So that's like your Eastern bow hunter shaft, Power Flight, V-Force. It's your standard carbon arrow, gold tip hunter, but these are cheap. And they're fairly light, 5.5 grains per inch. As I found out after I made them up, because I don't really know this stuff before I start. I was just like, I want some cheap shafts because I don't know how this is going to work out. So 320 grain up front. So I'm an old archer. So I started shooting when I was 12. I'm 54 now. Back then we had aluminium arrows, and they were 7% forward of center. So you used to balance the arrow there, and it was 7% forward of center. It was a balance point. And then Eastern came out with a really heavy point, which was 9% forward of center. Right, so here's the arrow, there's the center, and this is where it balances. There. So this is like 95% forward of center. The arrow weighs 427 grains, so the back end weighs nothing. So I'm interested to see how they shoot. So I've made up some arrows with spin wings. Now, the reason why I'm shooting spin wings versus other vanes, I have shot low profile plastic vanes before for Clout, and they work perfectly fine. Okay, the key is low profile because you don't want wind drift. So I've shot high profile vanes before for Clout. Clout is where you shoot 165 meters in the air with a recurve, 180 with a compound. Now I shot 4-inch vanes helical with a compound back before, and they would shoot great when there was no wind, and when there was wind, I would aim off like 15 meters. It was a waste of time, right? So low profile, small vanes is what I'm looking at, which is why I'm going to spin wings. And I'm not going to get any damage with spin wings when I'm shooting 165 meters, unless I do a bad release, in which case then I'll probably lose a spin wing, right? The knocks, these are just the standard Pandarus knock. Look, they seem okay. I normally use large groove. Look, they seem a little bit looser than normal pin knock, but I'm pretty happy with that. Right, so the proof's in the pudding. We're going to try it out and sort of. So the way I test this stuff is I shoot a bare shaft. When I've done this before with the arrows, with the other arrows that I mentioned, like with the clothesline down the center and the other points, the bare shaft would come out sideways. It was horrendous. And I still shot okay with it, right? So I'm saying, so things I test, I get the bow to tune first, make sure I can shoot it. I've got no stabilizers on it. Look, I've grabbed my compound sight. This is an old Excel sight. This sight is maybe 20, 30, 25 years old, I guess, maybe 15, I don't know. It's many years old and it's still fine today. There's very little difference in Excel today versus 15 years ago, and Excel's probably going to be annoyed with me for saying that. Look, they're built like a tank. Nothing goes wrong. They're very, very strong sights. And so when I say that, look, the sights are probably better today, but there's nothing wrong with the old sight, right? So there's no point in me forking out another $700 for a new Excel sight when I've got a perfectly acceptable old one, right? So I haven't put stabilizers on because I just want to see how it all feels. Now, if I go for longer points, heavier points, then the click is going to change because the weight. Now, I could go for a longer brass insert. I have brass inserts from, I'm going to say 50 grain, from 100 grain, 150 grain, 200 and 250. I like the idea of changing the insert because it doesn't actually change the length of my arrow. It's inside. So, and they're pretty cheap, like $10, $15 a dozen for brass inserts. Oh, now with changing from thin arrows, 3.2 mils to 6.2, I had to move my plunger in. I had to move my arrows down, so this bow will be literally just for these arrows. I can't go and grab a 3.2 arrow and shoot it because I have to change the whole setup. So the clicker's going off a bit before I want it to, so we're just setting this up. One thing with heavy arrows, I have people come into my store and they go, my recurve makes lots of noise. Shoot a heavy arrow and it will make no noise. This bow is completely silent with these arrows because these arrows are significantly heavier than my normal target arrow. Now they seem to fly nice, like it slow, but they seem to, like coming out the bow, they're straight back at me. I don't see any kicking when I shoot. I still gotta get this clicker to be set how I want it to be. shoot the bear shaft. The bear shaft, if the arrow is poorly tuned, will come out all over the place. Okay, let's just go and have a look. Like, it looks good. It looks very, very square. Right, so there's the group. The arrow's coming back completely square, really nice in the middle, and that's with like nothing. I haven't this. Yeah, this is a biter clicker, and I don't know, when I say I don't know where I got it from. I don't know where I got it from. It might have been second hand, but obviously something was broken on it because the little screw's broken. It used to have a little nut on it, and these used to make clicks when they used to turn. It doesn't make clicks now, it just free floats. So something's broken. Maybe I brought it second hand and I wasn't told it was broken, but I should have all the spare parts for these. So I haven't pulled one apart, so that will be a thing I do today, and rebuild it. But look, it looks easy. And when I say it looks easy, it's very hard to get a recurve bow to shoot. I just, like, if you've got a recurve bow, you know what I'm talking about, chances are. Because often, the arrows will be too stiff, too stiff, too weak, and something won't work. That's more than common. And we'll just go back a bit. Alright, let's see how this goes. Yeah, this is the clicker's moving. The clicker I'm using is an E1 clicker from Alec Potts' Eliza Archery. It's shaped like a leg, but it's got the old locking screw on there. Now I'm going to say his locking screws are better. They don't move, they really lock down. And I don't know why I have this screw on here versus the other one, but makes no sense whatsoever. But I lend my stuff out to people. I haven't shot this green bow for a while, so I guess I haven't shot it for almost a year. Other people have shot it and shot amazingly well with it, so far better than I ever have. So now that is a fantastic sign. It's a fantastic sign for me because I'm still struggling with my draw length, so I'm sort of bending my front arm to just feel comfortable. And the arrows whacked one another, so they're coming straight, they look like they're flying amazing. Now I've got the biter pin thing on. Now this is really weird because when I look down it, I don't see the line. I'm seeing it like off at an angle, which is a bit distracting. Because when I hold it like that, I see it, but when I aim, for some reason it's not square. Look, I'll shoot another one. I don't understand why it's not square. Maybe I have to bend it or something to make it square. I don't know. I'm just trying it. I literally just put it on. Yeah, Yeah, so it's aiming up a little bit in the sky, so... Yeah, that looks a lot better. So it was aiming up before, now it's like, looks perfect. Whether that changed where I aimed, I don't know, but... Look, these arrows, 95% weight up front. Back when I was a young boy, it was a debate whether you shoot 7% and 9%. 9% was seen to be a bit crazy. Everyone shot 7% forward of centre. It was thinking about having the arrow weighted. So when I test these arrows, what I think of is bow hunters who shoot heavy forward of centre arrows. It's meant to give them more penetration than some bow hunters shoot heavy arrows, right? It's because they want more hitting power when they're shooting rabbits, okay? So, but what I'm seeing with just this is I'm seeing the heavy point at the front because there's so much weight at the front. I'm thinking it's making the back very forgiving. Oh, that one I shot through the clicker. Now you know I do these videos when I say live, I don't edit them. Oh, that one was terrible. Anyway, let's go and have a look. Maybe I shouldn't have made those last two shots. Maybe I should cut them. Look, it is what it is. I was listening to a podcast this morning while I was eating breakfast. Well-known archer who's just changed to Hoyt. And he starts off and says, my first time I shot a Hoyt, and I feel like I'm having a go and I maybe shouldn't. But anyway, he says, the first time I shot a Hoyt, I shot a feeder score at Hoyt of 14.27. I thought to myself, shit, that's a big score for the first time you've ever shot a compound bow. That's amazing. Amazing score, right? Amazing score. So then I went and looked up what the world record was for that event. Men's feeder. The world record is 14.21. So you're telling me the first time you shot this bow, the first time you ever shot it, you shot 6 points higher than anyone has ever shot in the world. I think those numbers are right? 14.27 he said in the podcast. So yeah, I looked up the world record and it's 14.21. So you shot 7 points better than the world record. And you thought, stuff that, I'm never going to shoot a competition. I'm never going to shoot again for a chance to get the world record. Alright, so these arrows are excellent. That one I shot through the clicker. And that one was a shit shot. Now, so I shot this one through the clicker. And I'm going to show you the front of the vein, which just got chewed up through going through the clicker. Just there. Look, it all gets back to the thing. I'm very comfortable with it, so now what I do is I go out and I shoot Clout, see if I can get the range and get my sight settings. I get sight settings 5 meters either side of the distance, so I know on the day I get there and if my arrows are forward or back, how far I've got to move them. So anyway, that's my experience with heavy arrow points. It slows the arrow down. It seems to shoot really nice. It seems to be very forgiving as far as the way it shoots. So I'm very comfortable with heavy point weight up the front. So as opposed to when I put weight all down the arrow, I found that less forgiving. And I found that changed the spine. So I found that because the arrow was so heavy, the arrow wasn't flexing, so it made the arrow very, very stiff because it was so heavy. Now my feeling is like this is pretty good. 600 spined arrows with a 320 grain point. I'm pretty happy with that. Anyway, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Thanks for watching. Bye.